Hello, everyone. Welcome to this stream where we're gonna have. It's not gonna be a strictly Hampstead Hoax chat. We're gonna be chatting about all sorts of things.
Pizzas.
Pizza. We came up with this title. Andy kind of tricked me to think about this title because he said something.
Do you know
about,
you're on webcam, Adam?
Oh shit. There we go. Sorry about that.
That's better.
Andy and I, for the first time ever, are using Discord because we think it makes us sound a lot more professional. We've been listening to it. We're like, yeah, we sound smooth like disc jockeys. So hopefully you guys can let us know in the chat. If you can hear both of us clearly, it would be hugely appreciated. Just to come back to what we were talking about, we're going to be having a chat about the Hampstead Hoax, and obviously I did those of you that saw it, I did the sort of reviewing the first three videos, but I've been delving a bit deeper into it because it's something that's incredibly intriguing to me. So we're gonna have a chat about that. We're gonna have a chat about other things. Then Andy, just before we came on stream, first of all, I need to let you know that Andy is the only man who can't work a bottle opener. That bit should have been streamed because Andy was sort of asking me how do you use the bottle opener? Teach me, sort of just.
I didn't ask you how to use it. I said for some strange reason. Do you know? Have you ever found yourself having one of them bizarre situations where a rod, a normal task just seems. Sorry.
You said a rod.
But what did they call rudimentary?
Rudimentary.
Is that the rudimentary task becomes for whatever reason just became impossible, and I couldn't figure out how to use this bottle opener that was at the end of the can opener. So it took me 5 minutes to open the bottle of cider, and I spilled it in the process. That's never happened before, ever.
Yeah, Andy is basically it's his body's saying it's time to shut down. There might not be many more streams with Andy.
I have been up since 5:30. Don't know whether that's got anything to do with it.
No. Anyway, sorry. But yeah, and then you told me I should title the stream something a bit clickbaity, like horror pizza. And I was like, what? And then we got into a chat about pizza because Andy can only eat margarita pizzas like some kind of weirdo. And then he said, then we were talking about pizza as I was writing the title for the stream, and I was like, well, we're going to talk about the Hampstead Hoax, and then I wrote Hampstead Hoax chat after pizza. I thought just leave the title as that. And then also I figured it was quite clever because Pizzagate was part of what this is to do with and everything. So, and Andy is something of an idiot savant.
What?
An idiot savant.
I'll take your word for that.
It's someone who's I won't describe it to you. I mean, it's both insulting and complimentary.
Right. Okay.
Yes.
That's good.
Yeah. Sometimes, and like most of what you talk about is rubbish, but then occasionally there's pearls of wisdom.
Every now and again, there is something that you can take away from these bizarre broadcasts and go, you know what? My life has changed forever. I now know how to not open a bottle, or how to open a bottle, and I know all about pizzas and hoaxes and predators. Well, and online dating and scam baiting.
Well, yeah.
Online predators. Just the world in general.
Yes, you can learn a lot from the things that we're interested in, sort of, maybe, or you can just waste your time listening to it. Anyway, so let's talk a little bit about the Hampstead Hoax because I keep saying obviously, and it really winds me up when people say obviously too often. But yes, if you haven't seen it, I did a sort of series on this, and this is kind of my afterthoughts. Now, I've really fallen down a rabbit hole here because it's such a curious case, and apparently I was actually. Sort of told it's a huge ongoing thing. There's websites dedicated to both sides of these arguments, and I just kind of sort of, well, maybe not shoehorned myself in there. I'd like to think I'm still something of an impartial outsider who's just come into this, but I think in the main most people came to the same conclusions I did, or well, I believe them to be sane. But then I'm never one for sort of conspiracy theories and that kind of thing. That's more up your street, isn't it, Andy?
Yeah, and strangely enough, that's kind of the theory I'm edging towards, a bit of a false flag type thing. But we discussed that last time, didn't we?
But that sort of, in a way, do you not think that's a bit of a cop out, right? Because it's sort of saying, well, like the government put them up to this to deflect from the things really going on, so we can still have the government as bad guys, and then the children. Well, as far as we believe, the children weren't.
But it doesn't really it doesn't really change anything, does it? Because if it is the government, but listen, I don't think that the Prime Minister knocked on this couple's door and said, "Listen, do us a favour."
It's not the government; it's a couple of mental raw vegans.
No, but hear me out. This is what I'm thinking, right? We've got a couple of mental parents who clearly I can tell from listening to them in interviews before they were found to be full of shit, basically. They didn't sound like they were playing with a full deck of cards. You knew there was...
But the thing is, because I've listened to a lot more. I literally listened to over 4 hours worth of their stuff of them on YouTube doing interviews after the kids were taken away. They're not distressed about the children. Nothing in their tone of voice is like, oh, you know, I really want my kids back.
But what I'm trying to say is, do you get the impression that they've got mental health problems? And that's putting it very kindly.
No, I don't. Maybe you could consider them sociopaths, yes, to an extent, but mostly they're just really vacuous, pompous people, is the impression I got. You know, that believe that hemp is fucking the super food that's going to cure cancer. I think you type this Hampstead into Google and it comes up, half of the blogs that come up say hemp will cure cancer, or cannabis will cure cancer. And you know, Andy, that advocate might be the wrong word, but I'm certainly 420 friendly, let's say. And even I'm not that stupid. And these people's blogs that's all related to how their children have been taken away by this big system are also the same. Vacuous, pompous hippies of the new age that are a product of our current system that thought they could use their kids in a game of chess to win a custody battle. A terribly unthought out game of chess that were personally hitting the kids. Right. If you got into a relationship with a mother... and you had only known her 3 or 4 months, would you hit her children?
Well, no normal person would.
At all, whatsoever. Unless, like, I don't know, maybe you knew them more or less from birth or from very little, and when real little kids... I don't believe, you know, a small spanking to let kids know what's wrong, I think is fine, but... hitting 8 and 9-year-olds with a spoon, which in these recordings I listened to, this guy almost sounds proud about, is ridiculous. These parents have no... They knew there was a risk they could lose their children. They don't give a fuck. That's the
I think like I said on the last stream, if anyone can remember, and I'd had a few drinks by then, I like to look at these cases and see how they're a reflection of society, because they are. What the sort of the easy thing to do in cases like this, which you must try and never do, is dismiss people that are involved in it as just being simply evil and say, oh, well, they're evil, let's put them in that box. They're evil, so we don't have to deal with them. But what we need to remember is that these people are products of society. They're every person that is on the planet, we're all collectively responsible for that other person. And it sounds a little bit strange that I'm saying that, but even the worst person, we all have to take responsibility that person has grown up in this world. We're all part of the human race, and we're all in it together, basically. We're all one. And these people are... Like you said, it's disturbing that they have used the fact that they are parents to this degree and not taken any consideration for the children. Now, obviously, you're betraying the most sacred trust that there could ever be to look after a child who is
your blood
child. This is the predator thing that we talk about, isn't it, Adam? It's the same kind of what we're talking about. The same kind of.
Well, the thing is, and this is kind of the elephant in the room with this case to an extent, is the fact that there were sort of abrasions or something found on both the children's bottoms. However, based on, like, people literally got hold of the reports and investigated these reports, and this could have been from, you know, just a hard spanking or something like that. There was no full evidence of them being molested. So I'm sorry that it's getting a bit harrowing now. But they... whether or not the parents themselves did this to make the case look more real, if you know what I mean, that's the really dark part of the whole thing, that it's very difficult to think that they did. But there's a lot of discrepancies over the medical reports.
But it's not. But the thing is, Adam, I'm not necessarily talking about the physical abuse. I'm talking about the psychological damage. I'm talking about the fact that they thought that they could throw all these things their way, make them believe all this stuff. There was a news report I heard. I think it was on a BBC radio channel.
To compare them to predators like you talk about on your channel, as in like the To Catch a Predator guys who are chasing children for sex, and I think what they did was different. It's, well, maybe not debatable, but it's still despicable that they filled these ideas in the kids' heads.
Sorry, I was just taking a drink from this bottle I've managed to open eventually. But yeah, of course, it's I think it was a journalist who was speaking to a radio presenter on one of the podcasts I was listening to, and they were saying that the damage that had been done to these children is like going to take quite a long time to
of course.
If they ever can. I don't think the damage for life, I think it's quite easily reversible, because you could tell with not easily, I'm not that naive, but what I mean is the children had a decent grip on reality, and it wouldn't take a couple of years counselling from...
I disagree. I disagree. If to tell the story in the detail and the way they did, on kids'
no, but it's not difficult to mislead a child like that. Trust me.
Well, I suppose there are some things that would back up what you're saying. Like, for example, when the boy is first asked what sex is, he's told it's being hit between. He says it's being hit between the legs with a wooden spoon. I don't think they've been told that doing sex is just bad, but it's being done to them, and they don't really understand it. Which, yes, is very psychologically damaging.
Yes, but they've not been exposed to it physically. No. What I mean is, it's all in their heads. It doesn't become real for them. There are children that have been subjected to worse psychological abuse and physical at the same time that would take, for instance, I, through my professional vocation, know of children that that in my opinion would never be able to. They're about 13 years old, and the upbringing they've had, you wouldn't believe if I told you. I can't really go into detail for obvious reasons, but in my opinion, this person who's now 13 is beyond repair. Totally beyond repair. It would take, well, there's nothing that can be done, and it sounds horrible. These children were quite, you could see they were quite intelligent, the way that they were talking and the language.
Oh, yeah, they were very articulate.
Very articulate, very well mannered, very well behaved. What had happened, they came to believe an illusion, and they were told to believe this illusion, and children are very easily misled. And it doesn't take a lot to convince them that a lie is the truth. And you as an adult, not you specifically, but as an adult, we all do it every now and again. I'm not allowed to divulge my profession, by the way. I just don't like to. But anyway, what was I saying then?
No one's proud of being a rent boy.
Yeah, but after that,
you were saying that the children won't be as they will be psychologically damaged, but not to the. You believe that not to the same extent as if they had been physically damaged.
Yeah, I was up to. I've lost my train of thought then, but yeah, I just think that.
Well, I think to recover from it will be easier, yes, as if they go into the right sort of care. But I mean, any parent that does that to their child, this is the thing, you know, because
that was what I was saying. Sorry, can I carry on with my role? I was saying that as an adult, if you let's say I've done it every now and again at work, you get caught up in a little bit of a white lie. You'll tell someone something you shouldn't have done. You have a little bit of an ego moment and you think, oh, I'd sound really cool if I said this, and you tell a bit of a fib. Yeah. I've done it. And then you get caught up in that fib, and then you think, well, I can't tell the truth now because I'll sound like a twat. And then you carry on with this lie, and then you can feel your brain starting to believe it. Even though you know it's bullshit, you actually start to believe it yourself. So if you think about a child, children are designed, specifically, genetically designed to be led by adults. That's the way that they are created because they learn. That's why they pick up languages so easy. That's why children can pick up a language within a couple of years and they can speak virtually fluently. Whereas as an adult, it takes you a long time to learn another language. So it's easy. It was easy to do what they did with those children. Do you understand where I'm coming from? It's not that they were subjected to specific torture. They weren't sat down and, you know, their eyelids opened with devices and made to watch these horrible movies. They were just being misled. And I mean, we're going off topic a little bit, but I'm just saying I don't think the damage to those children is irreversible. I think with the right therapy from some decent people, it could be quite easily rectified. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, but they'll always have to live under a different name.
No, they'll just be surely given a false identity like the fucking...
That's what I mean, though. But, you know, that's still a big thing.
Oh, well, no, listen, there's going to be scars there. There's no fucking doubt about that. They were fucking ripped away from their home and told a lot of crazy things. You know, there's a lot to do. I'm just saying that it isn't irreversible. It's more than possible that even in the...
I wouldn't have done a series on it. I mean, to be honest, you know, I felt bad, but there was parts of it when they're talking about things that are so outrageous and so bizarre that there was an element of it that I can't help but say that it was.
But do you know the thing that didn't really? Sorry, Adam, I've interrupted you. Go on.
No worry. No, but I was just saying, I did find some of it, to be completely honest, quite funny because it was so bizarre and so surreal. The things they had been told to say.
You found some of it funny, didn't you?
Well, yeah. If I did, but if I believed they'd really been put through these experiences, then there's no way I would have been able to feel that way about it. But it's so out there, it's so wacky that it's just incredible. And that's it, though. That there is an example of how it could cause ridicule and embarrassment to the children for the rest of their lives.
What is that noise? Is someone drawing or writing? I think that was you.
Shit.
Was you making something then, Adam?
Might have been. Just I'm making a soup and I needed to put some thyme in a pestle and mortar.
Yes, various vegetable matter he was dealing with.
Yes.
I didn't bring you any pizza. Yeah, the thing that didn't, when I first saw the children being interviewed, it didn't bother me too much because I kind of knew that they didn't truly believe what they were saying, and it was so outlandish. They didn't really understand what it was. They said the words, "Oh, they made me do sex." They didn't really get it.
No.
It was like they were like hollow words, weren't they? So it wasn't that. Of course, it's never to hear a child say, and I'm sorry to say this, even as I'm saying it, it seems wrong to even repeat what somebody else has said. But to hear a child say that they put a plastic willy in my ass, it's not nice, is it?
No, but even the way you just say it now, there in your northern accent, it sounds funny.
Well, of course it's funny, isn't it? But it is an amusing thing. But to hear a child say it, it's a little bit unsettling, even in a... I don't think you can have much comedic value out of that, could you? I mean, hearing me say it, of course, but it's just it wasn't that do you understand where I'm coming from? It wasn't that fucking...
Well, the thing is, do you know what I believe was the most telling part of the whole interview, in my opinion, with the young boy, is when he describes the day with his dad going to Topsy-Turvy Land, then going to the swimming pool, then going in the toilets and something like 46 people putting a plastic willy in his ass, and then and then he says it was a fun day. You're like, well, I don't think. I mean, if that had really happened, and the fun, I think, is the way it goes. Like the police officer, who I think we both agreed was very good during the interviews, and showed very good way of communicating with children that was very commendable. And he says, "Oh yeah, so what did you think of the day with your dad?" And he goes, "Yeah, well, we went to the swimming pool, went to Topsy-Turvy Land, people did stuff and asked, it was fun." And he goes, "Oh, it was fun," like. And then you're like, I don't think if that memory had really happened, you would ever associate the word fun with that day. I think even if you had been to Topsy-Turvy Land and you had been to a swimming pool and then you get fucked in the ass with dildos, you're not going to remember it as a good day. In fact,
no,
I don't.
Of course. I think
you don't want to go back to Topsy-Turvy Land or to the swimming pool if that had happened.
The children didn't display any signs of psychological trauma whatsoever. They displayed signs of being detached from reality. But that's very different. Kids
do that because they have imaginations, and that's the trouble here. They've warped their imaginations in a horrible direction.
Exactly. Yeah. So it made it. I think the good thing. Well, I said the good thing. Obviously, words fail me, but the saving grace of the case is that the children weren't specifically physically harmed, and I don't believe
they were harmed by the...
Yeah, but not in a major way. If you look at some of the other child cruelty cases,
I mean, it's a good thing.
It's not even a shadow of what goes on, and you like to bury your head in the sand a little bit sometimes, don't you, Adam?
Sometimes the horrors of the world are just too much for me to take, so I'm like, nah, I'm not gonna see that. I mean, I'm really interested in true crime, but yeah, to be fair, I do like crime that's a bit dated, so it's not quite as or something like this where it's a very curious case because it's not like a horrible murder or something. But the very interesting thing about this case is the amount of material that's out there and still appearing every day.
But people love a story like this, don't they? Because the conspiracy thing. I'm not as into conspiracies as you might think. I've never read a conspiracy theory book. I've read books about UFO incidents, but I think that's different. But people fucking love a conspiracy theory, don't they? Because people like it because they think they've discovered something for themselves that makes them different than other people, and it's also it taps into a bit of a psychological weakness, if you will, of people, where they think they've overcome the world by believing a conspiracy. In other words, if you think, oh, I know the moon landing wasn't real, that person then believes they've got one over on the people that tried to fake it.
Do you think the moon landing was real?
I don't know. I don't know enough about it, if I'm being honest. It's not.
But it's like that conspiracy theory has picked up enough steam for you to start thinking there might be a possibility.
The only reason that popped into my head is I don't know why it popped into my head. It's just I think it gets mentioned a lot lately. There's been stuff in the news about the various space programs and stuff, and I think it might have flashed up on Netflix, but it's the only reason I mentioned that. But with this, like I said, people love conspiracy theories, and what this case does it's got quite a lot of different elements in it. It's got the child paedophilia ring that's involved in the government and the BBC, and then you've got a conspiracy theory and the Illuminati involved a bit. You've just got downright cruelty to children. You've got police investigations, cover-ups. You've got everything in this case. So that's why it picks up momentum on the internet and carries on and on and on. And there will still be people writing about it in 10 years, and no doubt someone will come up with a new theory and say that the fucking lizard people from Mars or whatever. There'll be some new crazy theory coming out there.
Have you ever listened to David Icke?
I knew you were going to fucking say that. Yeah, I know what he goes on about. Some of what he says is true, but some of what he says is fucking nuts.
Some of what he says I quite enjoy, but he was on the bandwagon with this Hampstead Hoax. He says it's the...
Yeah, but any story like that he'll get his teeth into. I wouldn't take too much notice in him.
No, true. But he conveys himself articulately, and I think if anyone can do that, they can make people believe anything.
Yeah, and the thing is, obviously, conspiracy theories have been around for a long time, but with the advancement of the internet in the last 20 years, it's made it even more prevalent, because people who are interested in it can spend their whole evenings watching videos and making videos about it.
Well, this is what these parents were planning to do, apparently, was to make these videos go viral, to make money. You know,
well, there you go, then.
The things I heard on the internet, the shows they did, they were with what sounded like very kind of amateur, medium-sized YouTube channels like ours. But most of the interviews they did, they were with people who were on their side. There was only one guy, I think I talked about him on the last stream, who really sort of, and he didn't, I mean, mostly he was like, yeah, I understand, but at one point he did sort of question them a bit, which I quite enjoyed. But in none of these interviews does the mother show any kind of distress. It's, you know, they ran away from the country when the police were coming to question them, or to make. They never showed up in court. I mean, what if you believed this had really happened to one of your kids? Would you then flee the country when you were being taken into custody for questioning? I would fight this from behind bars. I would go, it's fucking true. If people have touched my kids, I'm not going to fucking run away, am I?
No, I mean, the thing is, Adam, we've already established that they were full of shit. We've already established that it isn't real what the children say had happened. So that's, as far as I'm concerned, fact. You know, there's no doubt in my mind that they did it for an ulterior motive. The question is, as far as I'm concerned, is what was that motive? Was it purely for personal gain, for whatever reason, to get one over on the parent?
I think my personal theory on this is the boyfriend of the mother, he saw the kids as like a tool to market his hemp business, and the mother saw it as a way to try and get full custody of the father from the children. I mean, they talk about the father, right? In one of the interviews I was listening to, they said he's unemployed, he's living off benefits, but yet apparently the father is, you know, he's got the money to buy thousands of plastic willies, and even he's got enough money to get the equipment to make them in his shed. And he's got, you know, I would have thought if the father is renting out a church to murder babies and execute babies and eat the flesh and drink the blood, that it probably an out of work person probably doesn't have the kind of money he needs to make the bribes to run a satanic cult of that kind. And they talk about him being out of work, and yeah, she wanted full custody of the kids. She just didn't want him to see them anymore, and the other guy wanted to use them as like to say, yeah, hemp is amazing. There's like one part of one of the videos of the kids where, like, he says, oh, meat makes me no, I might be completely misquoting this, but he says something,
probably,
yeah, but like eating hemp soup or whatever makes me feel amazing. You know, both kids talk quite openly during the interviews about their and also follicles of cannabinoids or THC or whatever was found in their hair, which means they can't just have been eating it. That would come from someone smoking it around them. There was a couple of hippie parents that tried to do something stupid because they were that arrogant. If you listen to them on the interviews, they're still that arrogant. It's insane.
Did you know that you've gone into this case a lot more than I have? Do you know much about the people that put the kids up to this? Because you've got the parent and the step parent, haven't you?
Yeah. Well,
it's not
the step parent. He's literally been their boyfriend for about 4 months.
Oh, Adam, you're breaking up, mate.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Yeah, just quiet out for a second then.
He's not the stepdad. He's been their parent for about 4 months, and they've been instructed to call him Papa Hemp, although during one of the interviews I listened to, he said they called him Uncle Hemp, which I'm not sure if that's even creepier.
Sorry, I'm confused. Isn't that the same as a step parent?
What well, I don't think it's. I mean, 3-4 months of dating. I don't think you could consider yourself a step parent.
Oh right, okay, yeah. So yeah. My question is really, what kind of social standing do these two people have? Do they have good jobs? Do they have good education? Do they have any money?
Well, they must do. I mean, it's in Hampstead.
Well, this is but it doesn't mean everybody's rich. What I'm trying to say is, the children come across like they've been educated well, and they sound like they're intelligent.
Oh yeah,
but are the parents?
I have cause to believe they felt a bit out of place because they were a lot poorer than the other people in the area comparatively. That's the impression I get. Of course, that's just speculation. But you know.
So you don't know then?
I don't know. Well, the mother was a yoga teacher. I know that. I don't really know what the boyfriend was supposed to do, but I don't think they were even. If you'd only been dating 4 months, you probably aren't even at a point where you start pooling your money or anything, are you?
Well, I don't know. I've been in crazy relationships where shit happens pretty quick, but we won't go into that. No, I mean, I suppose the only reason I was asking, in some ways, is this might sound a little bit judgmental, but it's more, in some ways, it's more disturbing when you get someone of good standing, of a good background that are involved in these. If you get somebody from the lower end of the social spectrum, because they may have been brought up in poorer environments and not had the opportunities, it's almost easier to digest. But when it's someone who
well the mother came from Russia, so I don't know. I mean, that's probably a harder life. But
I think we've got problems on the in the chat. Someone's just said, Adam is quiet as can be and Andy is so loud. You do mean that, like, as far as volume, not metaphorically, do you? But you do keep cutting out, though. But just in case anybody that didn't hear earlier on, we're trying Discord today rather than Skype.
I believe the microphone and the desktop, because I don't want to get a huge echo like before.
You sound fine to me, so there must be a different sound coming through the video.
Right, hold on. Am I a little bit louder now, guys? And then I think Andy's on the desktop and I'm on the microphone, so that should hopefully make it a little bit better. Yeah, we're trying out Discord for the first time tonight, guys, so I apologise if there's any issues with the sound.
Oh, cheers for that, Lee, and hi, by the way. Could you just let me know if you can...
Yeah, hi.
I sound a bit louder. I'll try and turn my mic a little bit down. I'll just try if I can change the settings a little bit.
Hi, Snake, as well. Snake has lots of information. Snake, I'm not sure if it will block it because it's the chat here, but if you can, try and link your website in here, because he's part of a really good website, I hope he doesn't mind me saying, that's got lots of information on this, that's very well put together. And there's also some very funny stuff on there that I enjoyed reading. Some of the misquotes, and I heard some of these misquotes when I was sitting going through the videos of these parents. And the thing is that and that's what kind of gives the whole game away for me to an extent, is the fact that there is no distress in the mother at all over her children being taken away. Even when they're on these shows, on these little YouTube shows, and just talking rubbish. They say one of them I listened to, it had been recorded from their side, and it was so fucked up. There just doesn't seem to be any warmth or compassion to their kids. They didn't think of their kids as real people. Was the impression I got. That might be quite a strong thing to say, but if you delved as deep into this rabbit hole as I did, maybe you'd feel the same way, or maybe you'd start believing.
No, I mean, it's not a shocking thing to say, really. I mean, obviously, I think it's a pretty obvious thing to say. Anybody that, that does what they did, it's quite clear that they are some degree of sociopaths. I'm not into this labeling people as, right, he's a sociopath, that's it. I think it can get very dangerous when you do that, putting labels on people. But obviously, it does work in some cases, and I think that they have obviously displayed signs of that. Skeleton Siski, are you asking for a link to our Discord? I don't know whether...
well, we haven't got an actual server. We're just calling each other on Discord. We're old men when it comes to this kind of thing. We've just
don't forget, guys. This is like the first time that we're
Discord versions, but we're hoping, except for Andy being so much louder, which I hope has got a little bit better.
I can't. I don't know how to turn my mic down.
Sometimes I actually think the sound is a lot better through Discord, but sometimes I hear like a weird voice in the background that doesn't sound like either of our voices, and I'm not sure if it's my echo and I sound so different to what I sound like when I think I am.
You keep cutting out every now and again as well.
I think that's your computer, because you're not cutting out on me.
Well, why would that be my computer?
Because, well, if it's not cutting out on my end, it's going to be a fault at your end.
No, but it's just what I can hear.
Well, let's not worry about it. I think you can hear most things.
Yeah, it's not a huge problem. It just cuts out every now and again.
Yeah, I got cut off a little bit there. Right, I need to top up my drink, actually, Andy, and that's as we're going to come back to talking a bit more about the Hampstead Hoax, and I hope you guys, as Snake says, just Google Hampstead Research. They've got some really interesting stuff on there, but yeah, if you guys want to fall down the rabbit hole with me, there's lots of things here, but while I go and get a drink, Andy, maybe you want to plug your channel a bit and tell people about the videos you used to make and the videos that you now make, and how you've had a change of heart about a character we've mentioned on occasion on this channel. I wouldn't say we've not mentioned him very often, so a lot of people will not know who the hell you're talking about. So why don't you let them know that you've got another channel? I mean, there's not a huge amount of people here. I'm sure most are already subscribed to your channel, but Andy had some issues with YouTube, and they didn't like some of the things he'd been doing. Apparently being naked on webcam is a problem, so and also bullying sex offenders. So yeah, if you can do that work and give me 30 to 45 seconds.
I think you've just done it for me.
Nah, not fully. Some people have no idea who you are, Andy. Some people have no idea who he is. So let them know.
Yeah, well, in case anybody who doesn't know, well, thank you, Skeleton. Yeah, my original channel, which I was quite proud of, if I'm being honest, I had about 3,000 subs, and it got deleted for because I was apparently bullying a sex offender, which was a little frustrating. But I've had to create a new channel, which I've got about 500 subs so far. I just analyse like child predators and stuff for anybody that doesn't know. So anybody, yeah, just click on the link and subscribe if you want to. I do some decent videos just analysing child predators, stuff like that. Is anybody in the chat Windows savvy? Windows 10 I'm on, and I want to turn down my volume on the microphone in the settings. Does anybody know a quick way to get there? Because you know what, when I got Windows 10, I don't know if anybody's like got a desktop PC. Windows 10 is shit. It's like my friend upgraded it. I can't remember the one he had before. You'd think it'd be Windows 9, but it wasn't. It was What was it? I can't remember. It was all right. Shut up. It was yeah, you're right. Never use Windows 10, but it was the latest one.
I've got Windows 10.
And I just thought I'd get used to it. But you know what? It's awkward. It's not really. It just isn't efficient as far as I'm concerned. But anyway, I just think it's shit.
Right. Well, that's great.
Let's do a stream on Windows 10 next week, shall we? No,
rather not.
No.
Yeah, you can do it and just say I came. Not that I come, that I went, that I was there, but I had to pop out. Anyway, so I mean, even you, Andy, realise watching this stuff, and I know you're a little bit more, maybe open-minded is the wrong term to say, but I think you're a bit more open to being led down paths by people. You're not particularly mentally strong. You're sort of like
thank you. Thank you.
Sort of like a child that's
a child that's lost at the playground.
And is picked up by a mat. I don't know where that's going. Oh, Jesus Christ, I made that strong.
Yeah, like that's surprising.
Yeah, but it just tastes of vodka. It's literally like a pint of vodka with a drop of Red Bull. Sound
mixer, open volume mixer, playback devices, recording devices, sounds. Can't be volume mixer. Speakers. Hang on a minute. Left click on the sound icon in the bottom right. Go to sound mixer. Yeah, there's no. Oh, hang on.
Right, what are we talking about here? Discord
I'm trying to turn my microphone down.
Ah.
I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll just leave the microphone a little bit further away from my mouth.
Yeah.
Hey, Chris.
You were kind of chewing it.
Yeah. So, are you still on the vodka Red Bull, Adam?
Yeah. Well, mostly vodka.
Because you know that's like been banned in some countries.
Yeah, because it's mental. It's as close as I can get to dragon soup.
What?
You never had dragon soup?
What is it?
Oh, fuck it. I mean, bloody hell. You need to get... you need
to, bloody hello, chap.
Bloody hello, chap. You need to get on the dragon soup.
Okay.
You've got to have an eye on the dragon. They literally only sell it in Scotland because only people in Scotland are mental enough to drink it, like buck fast. You don't even find it in like half the off licenses. Like, I only found it at a random garage that sold it, and it's this drink. It's like it's like 13.5% alcohol, but it's also got taurine, caffeine. It's got something like the equivalent of 15 cups of coffee, caffeine, ginseng. It's everything that's in Red Bull, vodka, coffee. Is all in this drink called Dragon Soup.
Doesn't sound that great.
It's fucking mental. You drink it and you just do laps. You just run round and round in circles. It's amazing.
Doesn't sound great, really.
Yeah, no, you need to have a night on the Dragon Soup or you haven't lived a day.
Oh, hang on. Keep the audience entertained while I try and turn my thingy down. Oh, hang on. Oh, I think I've got it.
Right.
Voice settings, input volume, output volume.
Eureka.
Is it gonna be output volume?
Yeah.
Right.
No.
Turning it
input.
down.
And I'm getting an echo now. No, the echo's gone. But I'm not sure if I can still hear you.
Right, just guys, just turn the output volume down to 75%. So just tell me if
input. Put it in.
Yeah.
Put it in.
Yeah, that's right, okay. Well, I've just turned input down to 85 now. 75. So
yeah, that's
just
better. That's a bit softer on my ears. You know, my ears have stopped bleeding.
Good. Right. Okay. So that's better. Right.
Yes.
Good stuff. Well, thanks, guys, for the chat, for telling me how to work a computer. I've only owned one.
Well, we start talking about Windows 10 and then we go off on a massive tangent where we help Andy fix his computer. It's not. I do apologise, guys. You come here for entertainment and you get. I don't know what this is. Just.
It's funny. It's all part of the act. I couldn't work a bottle opener before.
Well, you can't work many things.
So yeah,
but it's
hey,
funny.
What's up? Love your perv chat log reading from Miranda. Is that Adam's or mine?
Most likely mine.
Sir Edward.
Everyone loves Sir Edward.
Yeah, I'd like to hear more from Sir Edward, I must admit.
He'll be in your house soon.
I hope so. Yeah, so is there any things that we want to talk about with regard to this case? Because we have gone over it quite a bit.
Well, yeah, no, I think I've put my feelings forward, and apparently I might be playing a dangerous game here, because apparently the
What do you mean?
Well, apparently the people who are on the side of the parents, they're quite militant. So, and sort of...
What do you mean?
Well, I've just thrown myself in here and sort of started making videos about this case because I found it very intriguing and compelling. And I did do it in a way I thought let people sort of come to their independent opinions about it. If you guys haven't watched the series I did, go back and check out the first 3 videos, except for the last hour and a half of the 3rd video, which is just absolute babble.
It's a bit of a slog though, isn't it?
It was hard work, and some of it was quite harrowing. Some people really couldn't deal with it. But, I mean, we've talked about some of those topics this evening, and whilst it's quite difficult to talk about, it is a very compelling and intriguing case. But, as I said, I put my opinion out there. And I think I sort of formulated that as things went along. And I did, you know, I said I got very deep into the rabbit hole, and came to my own conclusions, which I would advise everyone to do if they take an interest in this case. And then maybe those opinions will differ. I'd love to hear from someone who has a differing opinion. Maybe have some chat about it or debate.
Well, I have a slightly different opinion, but obviously my crazy conspiracy theory.
But you just want to involve the government because that's what middle-of-the-road conspiracy theorists do. Anything to do with the government or the moon, you're like, yeah, I'm all over that. 9/11, you probably believe that was all a hoax as well.
Well, no, I only read... I downloaded
not a hoax. I'm sorry if people take offence at me using that word in regards to 9/11. Not a hoax, but, you know, a conspiracy.
A false flag event is the best way of putting it. Well, I don't know. Generally a lot of people believe was the case. I don't want to say anything about that because there's too much.
Well, in regards to this, I want to just address the comment Snake is saying if you have an opinion that differs from the scammers, and it's funny he's referred to them as scammers. I'm not even sure. Because Snake's someone I've only been in communication with through these videos. If he's aware of my other channel. Where I deal with telephone scammers, but you'll be called a paedophile or a shill, and I think by drawing my own conclusions, I mean my main concern after watching this whole thing was the psychological damage to the children. It's only natural to feel protective of children and not in an odd way. Just you watch it, you watch. Don't just start laughing creepily, Andy. Right now, that's not helping, is it? But these people did something horrible to their kids. I think feeling aggrieved at such bad parenting, terrible parenting, is very normal. I'm ready for any flack that comes with it. I've dealt with trolls before, but
no, I don't think you're not going to get that. Day there's loads of with a case like this. There's going to be so many other similar videos made from people expressing their opinions in whatever form, whether it be YouTube, Twitter, whatever the fuck's available these days. What was it, Quorum? And I can't keep up with what goes on. But
Quorum, what is that?
Does anybody know what I'm on about? Like I don't quite understand how it works or anything, but I don't know. Skeleton's just asked. Any more news on Robert Hocker?
Do you know, we haven't had a Robert Hocker update in some time. Is it time to check on Robert Hocker?
Quorum. I think that's it.
Do you mean Quora, the thing? It's a bit like Yahoo Answers, though, isn't it? It's just people put questions.
Is that what it is?
Questions and answers. Right, I'm on Robert Hocker's global network page. Oh, he hasn't updated for ages. He hasn't updated since February the 9th.
Yeah, and his Facebook page went down as well.
Yeah. Do you know what I found odd, actually, and something I noticed looking at a lot of these websites about the Hampstead thing? A lot of people are also mentioning psyops, which is something that Robert Hocker loved to talk about, was psychological operations and how everyone is being brainwashed and things. But yeah, I think there's some conspiracy theories, and especially I watched some documentaries on conspiracy theories, and I thought they put good points across. But I think ultimately you can only make your own decision. And in regards to this one, it was just literally parenting of the worst kind that got onto a global scale for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah, I mean,
if those people were so vacuous and arrogant, they didn't care about their children. They thought they could use them as pawns to. And I don't, like I said, the boyfriend only been in their lives 4 months. So, and I think one of the most telling things in the children's interviews is when the little girl says, "Oh, she won't do that" or something. She loves him too much. I think the mother was smitten with this guy. I'm not saying the mother is probably the worst of these two characters, but the guy, it's two horrible, terrible people coming together and then using their children to do something despicable.
Yeah, I mean, certainly. I mean, what happened to these two anyway?
They're on the run. They're in Spain somewhere.
Right. In San Cugat, maybe?
Jesus, Andy, that's very close to my hometown.
I know, that's what I mean. I didn't want to give away the name.
They don't seem they wouldn't go to San Cugat. San Cugat is the third most affluent town in Spain, so they wouldn't be there.
Well, I'm glad they're closer to you than they are to me.
Well, yeah. But
maybe it's that crazy neighbour who's always doing the DIY just to piss you off.
It could be. He's building his hemp farm next to me.
He's building his dungeon.
Oh, do you know what I also listened to, and it was really interesting, was the first ever kind of interview they did, because basically the boyfriend, his sister's husband was a police officer, and that's what I would advise people to listen to and come to your own conclusions, because this is the very first tape that was made in regards to this whole thing, and it's really intriguing. It's a long tape and it's a lot to get through, and especially if you're of the same opinion I'm of, it's quite hard listening, to be fair, because you're just like, what a fucking cunt. But it's worth listening to if you really want to get all the information. And yeah, the deeper I delve into it, the more I despise these parents.
Sorry, say that again.
The deeper I delve into it, the more I despise these parents.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you're not going to find anything endearing about them, are you? You know, to come up with the things that they came up with and the ideas, it's like, where would you even, why would you even conceive of something like that? How did it enter your brain? What even as a kind of, as a joke, well, not a joke, but even as a kind of plan, where did that information? I know. Let's develop a story where people eat babies and our children have been.
Oh, all right. Can I? Fuck! I completely forgot about this, and it's something the kids never talk about, but he talks about, and they, and both of them talk about And I really hope that this was actually happening. Sorry, it's pretty disgusting.
What, eating babies?
No. The kids were apparently they're both the parents talk about this in the interviews they do. They both talk about how the kids were putting poo in their food. And that's what it led to, right? Okay, because this guy, this Papa Hemp chap, he's saying the kid's got his toothbrush and were putting it round the toilet and then putting it back so he was brushing his teeth with it. and he was getting the runs all the time. And I think the kids, I mean, to be honest, I hope they did do that, and they just fucking hated him because he was doing this stuff to them. And the mum also talks about it. But then he talks about how when they found out the kids were doing this, he gave them licks, as in he hit them. And the way he says it, it's just, I just thought he sounds proud of hitting this. They aren't his children. And he sounds almost proud that he hit them because of doing this. And he says this live on an interview. You know, a thing, if you wanted to try and bring down a full satanic paedophile ring, and you were growing a hemp farm, you wouldn't publicise your hemp farm and your hitting of children at the same time, would you? It's all just so fucked. It's too much. And there's these people, if they had a modicum of intelligence, I mean, I'm not saying they should have got away with this. Well, of course they shouldn't. I'm glad this happened because they were terrible parents. I'm glad their kids have been taken into care. But the psychological damage they did for their own vacuous reasons, for their own personal gain. I think the mother had such a misplaced view. I think she just hated the husband, and there was a history of violence between the mother and the husband. She just didn't want him to see the kids at all. And whether or not that was because she cared about her children, you can't really say she cared particularly about her children, because the kids, she was willing to try and do this with them. So whether it was a fool trying to just get one up over her husband or what, but it was... I
think you're reading too much into what they did. In other words, it's not that different to many other parents that have done similar things, well, different things, but the only reason it stands out is because of what they were made to say. But there are many parents that are just as bad, if not worse. I mean, they're on a totally different social economic scale, but if you look at Shannon Matthews' parents and where she planned to... Was Shannon Matthews the name of the child or the mum?
I think it was the mum, wasn't it? It was because the child was found in the end.
I thought Shannon Matthews was the kid. Yeah, it doesn't matter anyway, but anybody that doesn't know in the chat, anybody from the US probably won't know this. In a number of years ago, it was about 10 years ago, Shannon was the mum. Oh, right, okay. Yeah, cheers for that. Sorry, I thought it was the kid.
Yeah. Well, Skeleton has put a question mark at the end of that, but I think I'm right in saying that Shannon is the mum. But yeah, she basically tried a plot, wasn't it? Like to fool everyone that her child had been kidnapped or taken away and some horrible things had happened. And then she was fat. She was like, I mean, it was still quite dark because she'd been like tied up and sleeping under. I believe it was.
I don't think she'd been tied up. I think, as I understand it, she was kept in the attic of her uncle's address. Not in a comfortable environment, but I don't think she was tied up. I might be wrong.
No, I think it was worse than that, though, wasn't it? If you go into like the minutiae details, she was kept underneath the compartment of a bed. You know, if you've got one of them beds that opens up and like it splits in two halves, but one half is like a storage space. Have you ever seen that?
You mean that they have in like apartments and you like?
No, I just mean a bed, right? At the end of your bed, sometimes underneath it, you've got a drawer, like a bed. Sometimes the wooden slats go to the floor of a bed.
Right.
Okay, and she had to sleep in one half of bed, like curled up in a ball. I think that was what it was.
Right. So not very comfortable, to say the
No,
least.
no. Yeah, that was so. Anyway, sorry. So why? How are you bringing up Sharon and Matthews in comparison to this case? I mean, that was also another
because
hoax.
your point has been your sort of main focus, which since we've talked today, is that you can't understand how parents can treat the children like that. And what I'm trying to say, the point I'm making is, it's not that different to these other terrible parents, and I'd put the McCanns in that category as well.
Well, you're adamant about the McCanns, whereas I'm still until we have hard proof, and that's the thing. Like with this case, I've done enough research, I believe, for myself. I mean, I'm not a private investigator or anything like that, but I've done enough research to come to what I think is a pretty concrete conclusion in regards to the Hampstead hoax. Whereas the Madeleine McCann thing, I think, I hope one day we get a full answer as to what happened there. But I don't know if the parents were involved. The thing, if you watch a lot of videos online, then yes, most of them swing that way. But there's still with them at least an element of doubt. However, I did watch a video about that a while ago, and it was the questions that the mum refused to answer, and they were very incriminating. But still, you don't know the circumstances. You know how the atmosphere. Yeah,
they are. There's no one had ever even. They are guilty. There's no question in my mind. I'm not saying that I don't think they murdered her, but they were responsible for her death, if that makes any sense. There's no doubt about it. And when you say I suppose from one perspective you're right.
Well, you say there's no doubt about it, but I disagree. There's doubt in regards to what you're stating, that the parents were aware of the death.
I suppose you're right. Well, I don't know. There's a lot of evidence out there, pretty damning evidence to.
But it's easy. In that case, it's very hard to work out what could happen, and harder to speculate than many other cases. And for me, the parents is an option. It could well be, but I'm not 100% sure. But it's easier if you want closure. Kidnapped. If you want closure, it's easier to go with the parents.
No, but I'm not doing it for that reason. I'm not one of these people that has to find the answer to something because my ego needs to find it, and I'm like, yeah, I know what's going on. I've read a lot about this, and listen, we can all watch YouTube videos and can be made to believe a certain thing, but the evidence is overwhelming, in my opinion, that they had something to do with it. In fact, as far as I'm concerned, if it went to trial, they should be fucking tried for murder.
But there's no hard evidence, is there?
There isn't any hard evidence.
I suppose there was. They did
a good job of covering it up.
Yeah.
Because they knew what they were doing.
I mean, there was the sniffer dog sniffing the blood in the car. The sniffer dog
went crazy when it went to the car. But let's look at it from the other aspect, right? Let's just say that Madeleine was kidnapped, right? You're telling me that on the night that they decided to, for whatever bizarre reason, leave their child alone in the apartment, some person decided, I know, I'll look in that bedroom. Oh, look what I found. Took the child away. Didn't get spotted, managed to do it without any evidence whatsoever, no evidence of a struggle, no evidence of a break-in, no physical evidence whatsoever. When a child disappears in England, and I don't know of the differences between Portugal and Britain, if a child like that would have disappeared in England, there is absolutely no way, 100%, that there would have been no evidence. There would have been something, whether it had been a substantial witness, whether it had been some kind of DNA, whether it had been CCTV.
No, that's not.
It had been a vehicle.
That's not necessarily true. I mean, we've had English serial killers of children that have got away with it for a long time. Peter Sutcliffe.
Yeah, but
Ian Brady and Myra Hindley.
But the circumstances behind those children going missing were very different. We're talking about it wasn't the most populated area, but there were a lot of people around. They were left in an apartment that was reasonably secure. There was no evidence that anybody had been in there. There was no evidence that anybody had been in that area within the last few days. There's been no leads, no concrete, not even a suggestion of any decent leads in 12 years that there's anybody to speak to, anybody to arrest. It's all bullshit. I think.
All right,
this is my theory, right?
Let me put a hypothetical.
Let me just tell you what my idea is before
that.
Basically, what happened was they wanted to go out in the piss. They drugged her. Something went wrong. They killed her by accident. It was manslaughter, and then got rid of her. The cycle. If you look at the way that they reacted, especially the Kate McCann, in the interviews that she does not behave like a parent whose child is out there. And
could she be in shock though?
She's not displayed any evidence of shock.
Right, okay, but she at least showed signs of distress about her daughter. Let me put this hypothetical question to you. Do you think it is more likely that Madeleine McCann was sold into a paedophile ring run by Jimmy Savile than the children in the Hampstead Hoax satanic cult run by their father was real? Which do you think is more likely?
Well, I know that the Hampstead thing is a hoax. I know that for certain.
Okay, yeah, I'd agree with you totally. So
that's just answered that question then, hasn't it?
So, but you could be swung fully in the other way. Maybe evidence that came to light that Madeleine McCann, because that case is a lot more congested
it's a lot more in the public domain, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I suppose.
I'd say it's less because. You can look on the internet.
Heard about the Hampstead Hoax until 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, but if you look online, there's hours and hours of footage about it.
No, but that's nonsense.
Yeah, most of it is nonsense.
Madeleine McCann's made international headlines.
Yeah, very true. Yeah.
But the Hampstead Hoax is just an internet phenomenon.
But exactly, these parents want it to be all over the internet on very low key things, whereas the Madeleine McCann thing, they're only they're doing police interviews and stuff. So they were, at least at the time of it happening, it was dealt with. Even let's say hypothetically that the parents did do it, at the time they dealt with it, they covered their tracks that well that the police held them as. They just
did a good job.
I don't think good is the right word to use.
No, but you know what I mean. They did a good job of covering the tracks. Kate McCann.
Well, they did that if you take for certain, if you say 100% that you're convinced the parents did it, then yes. But I'm still open to speculation in regards to that case. I haven't made a full... I can't...
Does your gut not tell you that something isn't right?
Something, yeah, my gut does. Most things point to the parents. In most murder cases, it points to someone close to them. So all signs...
Do you not agree as well? Kate hasn't exactly behaved like a normal grieving parent. This is going to be a comical comparison, but it's easier to lose a child than to have uncertainty. For instance, you have closure. Yeah. If you're a parent and your child comes to an untimely demise for whatever reason, it's terrible. It's the worst pain you can go through as a human being.
There's nothing sadder than a parent outliving its child.
Exactly. But I would suggest there's one thing worse than that, and that is the uncertainty. These parents that have had their children kidnapped and tortured for years, it has happened, and not knowing. When I was like 16, this might be a comical comparison, but it was a traumatic time for me. My dog went missing. I'd had her since I was like 4. I'd grown up with her. I loved her to bits. And we had when I was living at home, we had some people in to fit new windows. And when I got home from school, she'd run out. We couldn't find her. And I spent days and days and days. I didn't sleep. I was looking around the fields, looking everywhere, absolutely devastated, because all the time I was thinking, what's happened if someone has got hold of her that wants to be cruel to her and is torturing her? I couldn't handle it. I literally couldn't handle the thoughts of what were going on. Luckily, we found her. But I was thinking, just imagine if that happened to a child.
Yeah,
and you
they're
didn't
not
know.
knowing. They're not knowing.
They were found smiling and joking the next day. There's pictures and videos of them. I'm not saying you can't have
the parents.
Sorry?
The McCann parents.
The McCann parents, there's pictures of them joking and laughing and smiling the next day after it happened. And I'm not saying that there can't be a moment of relief. But you look at the parents of James Bulger after he went missing. There wasn't even a hint of any. You're not going to smile.
I don't know. The thing is, how else? I mean, life does always go on, even if you outlive someone, though. I mean, I'm not saying, yeah, you shouldn't have a fucking knees up about it. Get the old piano out and start singing Mild Man's a Dustman or something like that. But, yeah, although this a bit reminds me of the Amanda Knox case, where, although it wasn't a child, but... and the couple are seen outside kissing and smiling, and so everyone's like, well, they're definitely guilty because, you know, why are they having a kiss in this time?
Well, that's different. We're talking about sadness. Parents losing a child. It's totally different. It's a totally different.
Yeah, no, it's true. You wouldn't. There's a really good series that this reminds me of called, I think it's called Missing, with James Nesbitt. I think you'd once told me you hate him, don't you? Is it someone Nesbitt? Is it Nesbitt? The Scottish fella.
Oh, fucking James Nesbitt.
Yeah. That's what.
Oh god, he annoys me.
Well, it's a good series anyway.
Yeah, well, I'm not watching it if he's in it. I'm just getting another beer if I can figure out how to open it.
Right. Yeah. But I think for me, admittedly, in regards to talking about this comparatively with the McCann case, which is a very different beast altogether, and a lot more serious, I would say, without degrading this case itself. But also, it's been a long time since I've seen the media in regards to the McCann case, so I can't remember sort of the opinions I did fully at the time. I think when that actually happened, I mean, it's a long time ago now, isn't it? And I've seen a few documentaries since then, but the thing with this case is, like the Hampstead Hoax, it's all very recent, and it's a very intriguing, very odd topic where there's just so much information out there online, and apparently that was completely the plan of these parents themselves. That, yeah, I've never come across anything like it before. It is, I mean, as messed up as it is, it's very compelling, but you, of course, I say that as a complete outsider. In regards to entertainment, it's, well, maybe it's not, the trouble is, the main problem is these poor children, which is very easy to overlook and not think about, even though we can hopefully, perhaps not categorically, but hopefully say that they weren't sexually or physically harmed to a huge extent, at least. That this kind of psychological damage will be able to be repaired, and they can grow up to be adults with a good life. Because if thinking about it from the kid's point of view as well, like if your mum treated you like that, jeez, I mean, it's so sad when the little girl says, like, her mum loves the guy too much, and she apparently said in the interview with the psychologist that she didn't want to go back home until she was 14 or 15, which when you're sort of 9, it seems like a long time away. So, you know, she was intelligent and insightful enough to be able to sort of say, yeah, those people are fucked. I shouldn't go back to them for a long time. Whether or not the time span she was thinking in regards to herself or to her parents is, well, it doesn't really matter, I suppose, but very sad case that anyone would treat their children so, would use their children as objects, I suppose, or as bargaining chips. I don't know if you can put it on a par with physical abusers, but it's definitely, that's what makes it such an odd and intriguing thing. It's probably the worst form of physical abuse I've ever seen that's been documented, and that's very, very sad. But let's not get too melancholy. Because there's not much more we can do about it. I think most people would come to the same conclusions, unless it all blows up again, like I suppose it did at the time it happened.
Sorry about that.
No worries.
The bottle opener broke. That's why I can't use it.
Well,
because the bit of metal that I need snapped off, so I can't open my drink now. I don't know what to do.
Use your teeth.
Well, I can't do that.
No, I can't do it either.
Oh, this is like really annoying. It's too late to wake the neighbours.
Have you got? Why are you going? What are you going to wake the neighbours up and ask them for? You're the Mexican across the road.
Use a key. Yeah, I think I'm going to do. Hang on a minute.
Alright, brilliant. So I've got to maintain this whole conversation without Andy's input while he tries to rub stones together to make a fire. I'm only joking. I love Andy. He's a good lad. He probably is slightly more Neolithic than I am, but he's he helps co-host, and that is an admirable quality. I'm just talking absolute rubbish now. But what can we do? I don't know what he's doing. I think he's just shouting at the bottle, hoping that the lid comes off.
Oh God, the keys won't work. This is really annoying.
Have you got like a sharp, non-dentable edge of a side top or something? Just
like a what?
Like a sharp edge of something. Just put the bottle on the side and whack the top down. Like a wooden table.
Yeah, yeah.
But you'll probably you might chip the table, so be careful. Oh, and I'm not sure if we're allowed to. Well, I'm pretty sure we are allowed to talk about it. I think he would encourage it. If any of you guys are interested, even later this evening, when both Andy and I are even more sheets to the wind, as they say, I think we're going to be appearing on Base Shaman. If any of you are familiar with Base Shaman's To Catch a Predator work, we're going to be on his Planet Predator Planet channel. So you guys can come along to that, and if you would like to, and see us. Jesus, I mean, I'm very drunk now, but yeah, hopefully we'll remain compos mentis enough to have some time with that. For those of you who aren't aware, I guess Andy talked about his channel a bit. We're both taking interest in this To Catch a Predator thing, so should be quite good fun, hopefully. I will put the link to the channel in the description here if anyone wants to come and join us during that. This will be tonight, Terry, in about an hour, I believe. So we will get on that, so to speak. I don't know what Andy's doing. I can hear the bottle smashing. There it goes. There it goes. He's done it. He's finally done it. He's cracked it. By Jove, he's cracked it. And yes, so I was at the races today.
God, that was hard work.
Yeah, we could hear. I've just mentioned. I'm sure he won't mind. I've just mentioned about us being on Planet later.
Well, no, why would I?
Well, no, yeah, I've just posted the link into the chat, so anyone that wants to hear us with Bass Shaman, who's a very cool guy.
Yeah, it should be a bit of fun. We're going to be both. Well, I'm already very, very tired because I've been up very early.
So I'm full of Red Bull. I'm going to keep going.
Yeah, I could do with some of that.
Yeah, yeah. You should have got some of that dragon soup.
Yeah, I used to drink vodka like every time I went out, but I just ended up. I ended up realizing it wasn't that good for you.
Well, no. It's not very good for you. My heart is beating like a fucked clock, but
where are the countries it's banned in? Is it like Belgium or something?
Probably in Belgium. They're always doing weird shit over
there. Well, yeah, but if they're doing weird shit, why would they ban it?
To stop people doing so much weird shit.
Right, fair enough. Yeah, no, well, they reckon like obviously the vodka kind of speeds you up and slows you down, and the Red Bull speeds you up, doesn't it? So it's kind of
it's an equilibrium
counter effects on you.
An equilibrium of epic proportions that only certain men can handle. And even after all of the 3 streams I will have done this evening, then I'm going to go out protecting the city. Just standing on rooftops, looking over it. I think I've got a long coat somewhere as well. Just be like, yeah. I'm here now. Yeah. Spread my arms and shout. Come on, criminals.
Shall we briefly talk about the other conspiracy we touched upon lately? Touched upon. There we go.
Jesus.
Just rambling now. The beer started. We're just talking completely.
Well, the thing is, I went off on a huge tangent, and you're not. You're meant to now come in as the same voice and start going, right, let's go back on track. But you've sort of quite badly failed at that.
I know.
So what did you want to talk about?
Conspiracies.
What conspiracy?
The 9/11.
The 9. Ooh, well.
Just because you had a negative comment about what you said, it doesn't mean we can't talk about it.
No, definitely. You're welcome. I mean, this is free speech all around the world. So, just what do you believe happened with 9/11 then?
I don't know. That's the honest answer. I don't have any specific. But I do think that there does seem to be some credence in the fact that it was like an inside thing, because it gave them a license to do what they wanted to do, and it changed the course of the US history as far as the military regime went. So it would make total sense, but I just refuse to believe that even Bush would sanction
It's a bit fucking much, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Even he fucking surely not. It's too horrific to even contemplate.
But yeah, there are elements of doubt there. I watched a documentary that was very interesting on it, and sort of saying about how they were moving gold bullion or something, and it was taken at the time. I'm not, it's very easy to fall down these rabbit holes and just believe anything anyone tells you.
We're having problems with it. You're cutting out from what I can hear a little bit more than you were before, and Amelia's just said there's an echo.
There wasn't an echo before. Let me check my OBS studio. I think... Are you tapping, Andy?
No.
There's like some noise that's tapping. I thought I had the levels set okay. I apologise, guys, if there's a huge echo. I think the echo's, well, I could hear something odd, which seems to have gone now. So, yeah, I think we're alright. I think Andy was doing something, probably whacking his meat.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, a much needed whack of the meat.
Jesus. Yeah. So that's why he comes on these streams. There's an innuendo I didn't mean to make. That's why Andy appears on these streams, so he can whack his meat to the dulcet tones of my voice. Right. So anyway, we were talking about 9/11 conspiracies. Yeah, again, it's another thing there's a huge doubt over. It's like the Madeleine McCann case. It's like, I don't know. There's so many plots and twists and turns that it could go down. You just don't know.
Yeah, it's a bit of a minefield, really. It's like, I was thinking maybe we should do have a stream or an episode on one of our channels at some point, but it's like, where does it end? You could go on, it's like the JFK thing. There'll never be a solution to it.
No, yeah. Everyone could always make a conspiracy out of most things.
And that's the end of that.
Yeah. So, how's your online dating going, Andy? I think we've done an hour of how's your online dating? How's the I mean, not online dating. How's the dating you're starting online and then trying to convert into real life? Have you convened with any ladies or men or just
no men? Well, yeah, I signed up last week. I went on a date last night. Went quite well. That's it.
All right. And
well, I say quite well. So anyway, how's the sex life?
How's your sex life, man?
I can't talk about it.
I did not hit her.
Do you know I've converted so many people to loving that at work, and
it's just
the amount of people I've just made watch it.
It's just a brilliant display of awfulness.
It's a joy to behold that movie, because it's like I've never come across a film like it. The thing is, right, there's movies that are bad, right, that you don't want to watch again, that you just think that was awful. Even bad movies, you think, I'm not polluting my mind with any of that from now on. But there's something different about this. It's endearing in its awfulness. It's like
it's written very innocently, but at the same time, I think you can also look at it as very deep psychologically, because there's quite a lot of sort of misogyny, and it's that's why it's so brilliant. It's like sexist, but doesn't even realize it's sexist. That's what's so great about that movie.
Which online site is Andy? You can get Grindr, of course, and Gaydar.
Yeah.
No, but it's I can't put my finger on what it is with The Room, but also, do you think Tommy Wiseau's a bit of a sexist, or is that too obvious to even say?
Well, that's basically what I was just saying in regards to the misogyny. Misogyny.
So you think he is?
Yeah. I just think, but at the same time, I don't think he would harm or hit a woman. The thing with that movie is it's just like an insane journey. It's like all little bits he's got from his life, but then with these sort of side points going off into what he thought was one scene that was comedic, one scene that was really dramatic. It's just But yeah, I think his female characters, if you were trying to take it from a more academic standpoint, the guy is not very good at writing female characters for sure.
No, just as a quick answer to a question that the end is near Beware has said. Yeah, I do play music, and one of my pictures on this online dating site is of me playing the guitar, and that's one of the reasons why the girl I went out with last night got in contact with me. So
he
it just
plays the guitar. Oh, he must be good with his fingers. Good fingers, tiny cock.
Very true. Yeah. So, no, yeah, but
you didn't listen to what I was saying for a moment, and it was brilliant. But anyway, so yeah, you went on this date, and then we were also talking about something more interesting beforehand. The room, yeah. Yeah.
That's far more interesting. No, but like it
The Room, Linda. We were talking about The Room. You need to watch that. It's
Why do you think it is then? What's the difference between The Room and a really terrible movie? What's the difference?
The Room is a really terrible movie. It's just the pinnacle of really terrible movies.
No, but it isn't, is it? Because there's humor in it.
I think maybe I'm going to get very profound here, but I think The Room is such a revealing insight into this guy and how he thinks the world works, and yet it's so far removed from how anyone else thinks the world works that it's kind of endearing.
I think he's an endearing character, and him as a character, Tommy Wiseau, he is manifested in that movie as him as a person.
Yeah,
so
he's endearing, but he doesn't know how to express it properly. And
but when he does try and express it, it brings hilarious consequences.
Well, I don't think. No, that's why it's funny though, because he made it. I mean, the joke really is kind of on him. He made this in sincerity. He made this movie because he thought it was going to be a Hollywood breaking movie. He had been inspired by things like Streetcar Named Desire and James Dean movies, East of Eden, Rebel Without a Cause, that sort of thing. But yet he tried to put his own life into these movies. So it just became something so kind of schoolboyish that it was, I don't know.
It's almost like, I feel like it's a conspiracy within itself. I feel like no one could have made it that hilariously bad, that it must have been made in that way to make it that funny. Do you understand? It's like he's like double crossing everybody. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah, well, I think if you read the book, and have you finished the book now?
No, I'm only like a quarter of the way through.
Bloody hell! I read that book in like 2 days.
I know, but I've been reading like 3 other books at the same time.
Yeah, well, and also, I don't need to check the thesaurus after every word.
Well, I do. So.
Yeah. Sorry, that was rather cruel. It's just because Andy's from up north. It doesn't mean he's any lesser of a human being. So...
Cheers, mate.
Yeah, no worries. Anytime. But, yeah, no, The Room is just... It's a revealing insight into this guy's mind. I don't think we've ever had anyone who's had their own money to put something so odd on camera and yet still do it so badly.
I think it's the individual moments are just as... It's almost like the individual moment of RoboCop, which is one of my great films, because RoboCop is one of the most quotable movies you could ever see. Like, the one-liners are just amazing, and this has got as many one-liners. It's just quite remarkable. It's like just the bit where he goes, "You're tearing me apart, Lisa," and it's just so out of context with that scene, and it doesn't make any sense. And the way he says it.
No, the best line in it is when he runs and hides in the bathroom. And then she says something like, "Oh, come on out, Johnny." And he goes, "5 minutes, bitch." Even though, like, the whole way through he's been...
in a few minutes, bitch.
In a few minutes, bitch.
You're not my fucking mother.
There's so many brilliant quotable lines in that.
So many moments. It's just fucking brilliant. Do you know what one of the best bits for me is, right? I made this girl at work watch it. We were doing this late shift and we didn't have a lot to do. And I said, "I'll tell you what, we'll watch a movie." So I said, watch this film called The Room. And she was like, "Are you fucking sure?" I said, "Yeah." And we're watching it. And she's laughed at it. And this bit comes on where Mark walks through the door in his tuxedo. And then they're all dressed there in the tuxedo, and she says to me, "Are they all going to his wedding? Is it his wedding day?" And I went, "No." And she went, "Well, why are they all dressed in tuxedos?" And I went, "Nobody knows." I just thought it just hit home how ridiculous it was. And then not only to like, does that not make any sense? Then they start going, "Come on, you daddy, cheeky, cheep, 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 cheep."
Well, I don't mean to add any credibility to it, but I like to think that at least somewhere in the reason there was at least like the fitting of their, like they cut a scene, or there was a scene planned where there was a fitting of them getting their tuxedos or something, because otherwise...
That's not what I read in the book. According to the book, it was because that was the only costume they had available.
Oh yeah, I think you might be right, to be fair.
That's what they said in the book.
You've probably read it actually more recently than me, but I devoured that book. It's a brilliant
It was early
book.
on in the book, and they said that it was because it was the only costumes available when they were filming that scene. So they just all wore tuxedos. And he had to shave his beard off because he was auditioning for another film.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah, in the movie, it's a bit... Have you seen the movie yet?
You mean the Disaster Artist?
Disaster Artist, yeah. You still haven't seen that? Oh, man, you need to watch it. It's very good.
I know, but you told me to read the book first.
They make some changes to the story, but they're very well done. But yeah, you should read the book first. The book's better. But the movie is the main thing, and it's always there. Well, at least for me, free to watch on YouTube.
Oh yeah, no, but it is. I've watched it 4 times now, which is one less than the latest Star Wars movie.
Jesus. So you like The Room more than Star Wars?
Yeah, but the latest Star Wars movie's shite anyway. But
you've cut out
an enormous pile of fucking hot, rotting horse shite. If anybody's interested.
You cut out. So all we heard was something about Star Wars, and then the Isle of Rotting Horse Shite, if anyone was interested.
You're still cutting out, you know.
Yeah, you're cutting out my end quite badly now. Do you think perhaps we should try restarting this call? Give me 1 second, I'll call you right back, because I think maybe the computer is getting hot. The chat is too hot to handle. Alright, sorry guys in the chat, give me 1 second. I'm gonna just see if... I'm just quickly leaving and restarting the call with Andy and see if it works again. I mean, Discord, I think the sound is better. I don't know what you guys think in the chat. I know we've had some issues with echo, but I've been having that even when I've not been using Discord when I've been doing the scam baiting stuff, so I'm not too sure. Hopefully Andy will pick up in just a moment.
I'm still here.
Okay, yeah, but I think you sound better now, for sure. That sounds much clearer.
Yeah, I don't think you're cutting out as much either.
Yeah, no, I think we might have cracked it. Hopefully, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's not jinx it. So what were we talking about?
Star Wars.
No, never Star Wars. We know there's no Star Wars on my channels. That is, we're never. It's not geek channels. All right. Sometimes we talk about, I suppose, what you could call sub. I can't even.
So what?
So I wanted to say continents, and that's not what I mean.
Now I'm not saying Mr. Burns isn't
like niches, like we talk about niches on YouTube. Although I suppose you could say, I guess as soon as you talk about a niche, you're involved in that niche.
That's true.
Well, I mean, we tend to have quite a normal formula of the things we end up talking about the same things again. Maybe what did you make of the Russian spy getting poisoned in the street? And oh, and last night, Jesus, the game in St. Petersburg between France and Russia. Apparently, the Russian fans were monkey chanting, and the videos went viral.
Oh dear, that's not good. They're just not very popular at the moment, Russians, are they? Let's be honest.
Well, yeah, but we're about to have the World Cup in their country in like 3 months, less than.
But the timing's very strange, isn't it?
Yeah, I suppose so. All this kind of Russian media news that's coming out right beforehand, you could say this is another conspiracy theory.
Yeah. Hey, Darth Khan. Darth Khan 45's in the house. What do you, Skeleton Siski? What do you mean? You live where it happened? Where was the game?
No, the game. I think he might mean where the poisoning happened of the. Was it in Wiltshire or somewhere?
Oh, in Salisbury.
Salisbury.
Ah, right. Okay. Right. Yeah. Sorry, I didn't. I thought you meant bloody France. I was like, oh, I didn't know.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's where the poisoning happened of the Russian spy. But yeah, all this.
It's really weird. Whenever I saw Salisbury, I always thought of the supermarket Sainsbury, and then a week after, there was something to do with Sainsbury's. They shut Sainsbury's because of it. I don't know. It was all very odd.
They shut a Sainsbury's in Salisbury.
Yeah, they just sound similar. Very profound, that, isn't it?
Mm.
But what I'm trying to say is, just before the World Cup starts, all this shit goes on. There's like world hysteria, if you can call it that, about the Russians.
Well, yeah, I mean, all their diplomats. Has anything like this actually been seen before? Like all their diplomats being sent back from all the countries.
It's all very odd. I
say diplomats, and I might have that wrong. I'm not sure who exactly they're sending back, but I know a lot of Russians.
All the ambassadors are getting recalled, basically, aren't they?
Mm.
I think is what is happening. But what I found very odd is, I honestly believe in. I'm nuts, right? All the stories that get fed to us are deliberately fed to us by the people in power to keep the population aligned. And I think all this Russian stuff is another element of that for whatever reason.
What? So you think the World Council is saying, right?
Yeah, it's orchestrated. Russia, yeah,
you're getting the World Cup, so we're gonna give you a hard time.
I don't think. I'm not trying to say I understand why it's happening. I'm only telling you why I think it's happening.
Do you think football is a big enough part of this to actually play a part? Because
just think about how much money is involved. Football.
Well, the World Cup is the biggest sporting tournament in the world.
Exactly. Surely. Right. So you've got the biggest sporting event in the world happening in the summer, hundreds of millions, not billions of pounds, and suddenly all this is kicking off. Nothing's going to happen. There isn't going to be a race. there's a couple of fucking one Russian couple or a guy and his daughter were fucking poisoned by another Russian person on English soil. It's been made a meal. It's been fucking, it's like, well, hang on a minute. Do we know this has happened? Do we know that the people? I just don't believe anything that the media fucking tell you. It's not as clear cut as what is being made out. That's all I'm saying.
No, I would be inclined to agree to an extent, but again, it's something that's very much open to speculation. I can't say why, but it does seem quite coincidental that this is all happening just before the world's biggest sporting tournament happens in that country.
Yeah, there is some suggestion that Putin has orchestrated it deliberately. Because the World Cup is coming and he's trying to gain more power and more influence and, tactics I can't understand. But what I don't understand...
What about this for a play if you were a politician? I mean, it's a risky manoeuvre, but you do this, you start this up, and then you hold a really well-behaved, amazing World Cup that everyone comes up. Like, I mean, was it Brazil recently? And everyone was saying how great it was, and I know there was a lot of problems beforehand with the infrastructure of building the stadiums and things, with like people rushing the work, and people, like 3 people were killed at least, weren't they, during the buildings of the stadiums? But they held a really good, fun World Cup. And in fact, to an extent, you could say that, well, Russia have killed 1 person, but 3 people haven't been killed building the stadiums for their... They've already got huge stadiums, I believe, Russia. So...
Well, of course they have. It's still... Is it not the national sport over there?
Well, I don't know. I mean, they've had some great footballers over the years, Russia, but they've never been a huge force in international football.
Neither of us, but it is.
We've won the World Cup.
Yeah, no, but we haven't been any good in 20 odd years.
No. Well, England have been awful the last few years, and I mean, we'll get into that and we'll bore people to death, because I could talk about how England have been a appalling team, and I could sit here and put on my Football Manager hat. Like, some of the decisions of the last tournament were ridiculous, but let's not get into that. But I'm quite enthusiastic after seeing. I saw the Italy game and the game against the Netherlands. I listened to on the radio. I think the team looks exciting. It looks better than it has for a while. I'm liking.
We'll still get pissed on.
Yeah, probably. We've got a fairly easy group in the World Cup though, so we should make it out at least to the group stages, I would hope. I think we've looked promising, and then once you're out of the group stages, you never know what can happen. It's worth being a little bit of an optimistic.
Oh, Mr. Sharman's put an advert on his Facebook page. Tonight, we're thrilled to be joined by 2 very special guests that most of you 2 cappers are already familiar with. I can't believe he's put you in the same category as me.
Of course he has. I don't say as much, but what I do say is
shite.
Is pearls of wisdom. I'm the yin to your working class yang.
Very well put.
Yeah, that should be fun. I'm looking forward to talking to Shaman.
Yeah, it'll be good. It should be a good laugh, and I think it's all going to be as well, which I'm very happy about.
Well, I hope you don't keep cutting out like you did just there, because it sounded like you said it's all going to be very potato.
No, well, I hope not. I mean, we're going to have to restart the call anyway, so...
I hope so, because Jesus.
Yeah. Shall we prepare?
Oh, right, yeah. Well, I need to get another drink, so do you want a little rest before the...
Yeah, should we wrap it up? This is happening in about 10 minutes, Darth.
I'll post the link to the channel down here so you guys can come along.
Yeah, but cheers for joining in with the chat, guys. I'm sorry Adam started boring everybody, but it was happening.
I didn't bore anybody. I think it was your talk about when you were going on about, oh, I'm a rent boy.
Hey, it's good money, man. Don't knock it.
Well, yeah, if you call a quid a go, good. I suppose if you're doing 100 a day, yeah. Jesus, Andy, what have you become?
Do you remember that? Did you watch Derek?
Yeah.
The bit where Kev's brother turns up and he's talking about he says, oh, it doesn't work, it's completely shit out, and it's like he's talking about his house because he walks up the canal and sells himself.
I only heard the last bit, but it was funny enough.
It was like the bit where Kev's brother turns up and they said there's actually someone in the world worse than Kev. It's hard to imagine.
Excellent. And that is kind of like what Andy is to me. So yeah, guys, I think Andy's cut out again real bad.
No, I'm just not talking.
All right. So, well, on that note of just thinking you're cutting out, we should probably try not to overthink this Discord thing. Just let it flow. I think there may be just a slight delay, but the quality in audio has seemed better, I hope. So yeah, guys, thanks for joining Andy and myself for this evening's chat about lots of things.
Pointless things.
Not necessarily pointless. People like hearing us talk, and I've enjoyed myself. I hope you have.
You just love listening to the sound of your own voice. That's all it is.
Well, yes.
Apart from when it is cut out.
Yeah, well, even when it cuts out, I can hear my own voice. But that's a different story for a different time. So thanks again for joining us, guys, and thank you for joining me, Andy.
Yeah, cheers, mate.
And we'll hopefully see you soon on Shaman Stream. Those of you who decide to join us, I know it's quite late for some, but more than welcome. Well, I hope you are.
Yeah, cheers for joining us, Neon. I hope you enjoyed it.
All right, take care, everyone. Good night.